savage about a guy. I was asking some of the girls, what is icks that you have about a guy's? And okay, here's some. I don't like how he drinks water. Huh? I saw him jump on a trampoline and it was over for me. Oh, you just don't like him having fun. You just don't like fun. Okay, here's another one. I watched him walk down a hill. A girl said his hips moved too much and it gave her the ick. It is savage, the icks that some girls have about guys. I asked some of the guys, what are icks that you have about girls? And guys were kind of like, when she's not into me. Like, one guy said when she says, aw, after I tell her, I'm like, aw, like if she's a little, okay, so I was like, okay, that's valid. But for the most part, guys like, Ben said when she doesn't know where she wants to eat. I was like, okay. When she's indecisive. But here's the thing. The icks that guys have towards girls are like more things that are just like inconvenient and whatever, but the icks that girls have towards guys are like, you just don't like that he's a human. Like, he's drinking water? You don't like how the man drinks water? That's what's gonna set you off? So I find icks incredibly funny. I find it incredibly funny that we can have a crazy list of icks, just these high standards that are so impossible to meet. But we can still have just incredibly low standards when it comes to the love that we actually settle for. So we can have these crazy high icks, but then we have incredibly low standards when it comes to what we end up putting our attention, time, and affection towards. And that's basically the whole point of my message. He's a 10, but what might you be giving your attention to? Things that look like 10s, but they have a but attached to them. Things that actually are a dead end. We have incredibly high standards, but sometimes when it comes to the love that we settle for, it doesn't match up with what we actually deserve. So there's a lot of things that I love in my life. I love church. I love RIZN. I love my friends, my family. But I also give my time and affection and even money to things that are just kind of mid, like Starbucks or Star Wars or Pokemon Go. There's things that I give my time, attention, and affection to that are just mid. And everything in our society is competing for our attention, and it's trying to win over our devotion. We have never lived in a time where we've had more idols to choose from. You open up your phone, and it's just more things that the world is trying to sell over to you, that they want your attention, they want your devotion. We have so many things that we are just being pressed to give our time, attention, and just effort towards. In Proverbs 4:23, it says, we can read this one together, it's short, 1, 2, 3, guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life. Guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life. So I want to ask you tonight, what do you love most? What do you love most? And maybe it comes right to mind for you, but maybe you don't quite know. And to figure it out, I want to ask you some questions to figure it out. What do you spend the most amount of your time doing? Or maybe, where do you spend the most amount of your money? Money is such an indicator of what we really love. What we spend our money on, or who we spend our money on. Or maybe, what do you think about the most, or who do you think about the most? Who has your heart? This is kind of what this Proverbs verse is talking about. Guarding our heart, being aware of what is going into our heart, what is holding space in our heart, what occupies our thoughts and our emotions the most. What do you love most? What currently has your heart? And sometimes it's a good thing, like what I talked about, church, RIZN, parents. Sometimes it's a good thing that has our heart. Relationships are good things, but sometimes, or they can be, but sometimes too much of a good thing can also hurt us too, or it can also become an idol. I think about the gym. the gym is a good thing. But it can also, I think we know, can develop into something that becomes an obsession, or it becomes unhealthy, or we start to have a relationship with it where it's actually an idol and it is unhealthy in our life, even though working out and being healthy is a good thing. Sometimes what has our heart, what occupies the most amount of our thoughts and attention, it's good things that we've just had in excess. Or maybe what has your heart, what you think about the most, maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe it's pain. Maybe it is unforgiveness. Maybe it's a hurtful situation that happened to you, but you think about it the most. It bugs you a lot, frequently. Maybe it comes up in your heart multiple times a day, even if it happened years ago, but it has your heart still. What has your heart? Proverbs, it's telling us that our hearts control our entire life. So what has our heart has our life. And we have to continue to choose that Jesus will be the one who has our entire heart. So the whole point of Christianity, if I could sum it up in really, really simple words, is just that we would be really in love with Jesus. The whole point of Christianity is that Jesus would be the one who has our affection, our devotion, and who is just our greatest love. And oftentimes our failure to see just how beautiful and how good and how wonderful Jesus really is, we fail to see how good he is, and it drives us to go looking for love in other things that are just mid. He's a 10, but these things that they don't actually measure up. Jesus is a 10 that's like fully a 10. He's wonderful and good and beautiful, and he did the absolute most for you. If he just that came in, if he wanted to, he would. Jesus did. Sorry, that was. Anyways, Jesus is wonderful, and when I felt like for a lot of years I missed it with Christianity, where it was like had this concept that Jesus died for me and he forgave my sins, but it wasn't like it had sunk in about how incredible that really was. It was like it was head knowledge that like hadn't quite hit my heart. But I remember years ago having this kind of asking God, I know that you love me, like conceptually I know that you love me, but I don't feel like I feel it. And when I sing songs about love, or when I think about your love for me, I'm like, okay, cool. And I kind of just thought maybe I wasn't like a lovey-dovey type of person, that maybe I was like, yeah, that's for like the really like emotional people who like need to know that God loves them, but like I'm good with just like listening to him. And oh my gosh, I was missing it. And I remember just beginning to pray prayers of, God, would you show me how much you love me? I don't want a relationship with you where I'm just doing what you say to do, or I'm just like following your words without having this like deep well in love with you. And it was the tangible love of God that made me realize I don't want anything else but Jesus. Once I realized just the sweetness and the fullness and how satisfying the love of Jesus really is, that every other thing just seems so mid. It just was, this doesn't even measure up to what Jesus can offer me, that I've been looking for this thing to fulfill me, even this good thing to fulfill me, and it is nothing compared to the love that we have in Jesus. It's how Paul can say in Philippians 3:8, he said, what is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage that I may gain Christ. Paul's saying everything else, when the gains that I could get in this world, anything else that I could gain, popularity, maybe legit gains, whatever it is, and what that I could gain, it doesn't even come close to the worth of what it is to have Jesus. If I can gain Jesus, that is the best thing that I could possibly chase after, that I could put my time and attention towards. Anything else that I put my time, attention, devotion, money towards, it might be a good thing, but it's not what's gonna really satisfy my heart. Only Jesus can. Jesus is the prize. And I want to just talk a little bit about Jesus tonight, because the way that we fall in love with Jesus, the way that we begin to love him more, is to meditate on him, to learn about him, and to experience his love. When you really love someone, you want to know them. when you're in a talking stage, you're like, what's your favorite? Do you like Coke or do you like Pepsi? Or you just want to know like everything about someone. You're just trying to figure out who this person is. Girls are like crazy when they have a crush on someone. They will like stalk a guy. They'll know like, oh yeah, and how was your trip to Britain in 2014 with your aunt? Did you like that? I saw it on your sister's Facebook. Girls, like, when we are into something, we study it. That's relationships, but even lately I've been so into Star Wars. Oh my gosh, I've been into Star Wars. It has just been this like phase that it's my current fixation. And I have been on threads of Star Wars like theories and things that are connected, and I am studying Star Wars. It is ridiculous. I am 26 years old, and here I am studying Star Wars, and I'm like, yeah, the whole movie is about R2-D2 and CP03. It has nothing to, it is all like, oh my God. Wait, did I say it wrong? Yeah, sorry. It's my bad. It's about him. I know that, I just stumbled. Anyways, when we're really infatuated by something, we want to study it, and it actually grows our love for that thing. When we grow in knowledge of someone, when we grow in understanding of someone, it actually draws us to love them more. So I want to talk about Jesus tonight and give us a few things of who Jesus is, because I think it will drive our love for him more. When we have a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he does for us, it begins to settle in of, oh my God, goodness, this is how good Jesus is. The way to fall in love with Jesus is to experience his love and meditate on who he is. So, learn to love Jesus. Here's some things about Jesus that says in the Bible about who Jesus is. Learn Jesus because his faithful love is better than life. This is what Psalms describes Jesus' love as, that it's better than life. How sweet is that? That it would describe our God's love as being better than life. Like, that is just so beautiful to me, that his love, that his real love would be this experience that is just like the best thing that we've ever experienced. Fall in love with Jesus because he's before all things, and in him he holds all things together. This is saying Jesus is with you, he's trustworthy, he's in control, that he created the world, that he knows the end outcome, he has a grip on your life, and that you're going to be safe with him, that in Jesus there's so much security. Read that and just think, he has me, he's got me. He goes before me, he goes behind me. There's a verse in the Psalms that says he hems me in and behind, meaning that basically you're just surrounded by God's love and protection, that he always has his eye on you. He always has your best interest in mind. Love Jesus because every other God is a worthless idol that benefits no one. That just in the same sort of words that Paul says, that everything else is garbage compared to Jesus. That we look to other things to be our God. We look to other things to fulfill us. We look to other things to satisfy us. But every other thing is a worthless idol that doesn't end up benefiting us at all. That Jesus, though, he adds value to us. That he gives us just life and he benefits us. I think about in the same psalm, it says, forget not his benefits. He who heals you from your diseases. He forgives your iniquities. He leads you beside still waters. That the benefits to following Jesus is like this endless list of goodness. That when you follow Jesus, you will just be blown away by how freaking good life gets. I remember when the first week of following Jesus, I made a decision at RIZN, and I remember going home and feeling like my world is color. Like, why did no one tell me that Jesus was this freaking awesome? I remember walking to school and crying out of happiness, listening to worship, feeling like I wanted to like sob, but also dance, and was just so overcome with emotion because I was like, he's real. And this is awesome. And he's my best friend, and he'll never leave me or forsake me, and he sees me, and he understands me, and he wants to know me. And not only does he love me, he really likes me too, and he enjoys me, and he wants to know what's on my heart, and he's going to protect me. He's going to provide me all of my needs, and with him, I'm completely safe and secure. Like, does that not sound like the best guy you could ever possibly be friends with? that his benefits, any other idol can't do that for you. Any other idol leaves you empty. It sucks the life out of you. Anything that we put our time, attention to, or that we worship, it ends up just taking away from us. But Jesus, when we worship him, he adds value to us. It's like you become more dignified in his presence and you realize just who you were always created to be. That there's this clarity of like, I'm at home. And it's like I finally found the person that I've been searching for my entire life. Jesus is like this endless list of benefits. And because he's the only source of abundant life. John 10:10 says, "But the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest." Jesus wants you to have life and have it to the fullest. He wants you to have a life that is just beautiful and rich and full and blessed. Not only on this side of heaven, but also in heaven, that abundant life, everlasting life that goes on, that one day we get to be completely reconciled with him and live with him in a new heaven where the Revelation says there'll be no tears, there'll be no sorrow, there'll be no pain, and basically we just get to worship Jesus forever in the most beautiful place. Life and life to the fullest here and in heaven is what's promised with us of Jesus. When we start to meditate on all that Jesus is and just the truth that of who he is, it's like, wow, I love this guy and I really want to know him. And you're right, everything else is kind of garbage. There's no one like Jesus. There's no one as beautiful as Jesus. There's no one as beautiful, did I just say that? Beautiful as Jesus. Jesus is the best. Don't ever get over how awesome Jesus is. In the last month or so, I did something called the Shred. It was a Bible reading plan. And basically, it was read the entire Bible in 30 days. And it was crazy. It was like 50 chapters a day, essentially. And it was maybe one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I remember there was one night I fell asleep with my Bible and like it kind of like this. And I woke up because it hit me in the face. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I need to keep reading. And it was probably like 2 a.m. And I like kept reading. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. I want to go to bed. Anyways, what I learned from it, looking at the Bible at such like a bird's eye, 50-foot above view, whatever it's called, is that God is really patient and really faithful towards people who just kind of suck. It's so funny when you read about the Israelites, it's like God does the most for them. He gives them like the best and promises them like, hey, if you just stick with me, you're gonna be good. And the Israelites are like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Not, and just like choose something else. And it's almost like when have you ever seen one of those movies where the girl has a guy best friend who is like the best option? Like the guy best friend is good to her, he treats her well, he has her back, and he's like the guy she should be going for. But then there's like some loser jock guy who's like, hey baby girl, let me take you on a ride and let me be mean to you, and I don't like your mom. And the girl's like, wow, look at his car. Like, she just actually has an ick and doesn't like how her guy best friend walks down a hill or something. I saw him drink water and I don't like him, but this guy, I've never seen him drink water. Anyways, it's like so frustrating. In those movies, you're like, this is the guy. Are you blind or dumb or deaf or what is it? Like, why can't you see? And reading the Bible, it's like watching the Israelites continually choose the option that is just the worst option. They just keep going back to things that's like, are you kidding me? God just told you 2 chapters ago that like you'd be good if you followed him, and now you've built a golden cow? Or they'll be complaining like God never looks out for us. I'm like, I'm pretty sure God just got you out of 400 years of slavery. What is wrong with you people? But we're like this too. We might not be Israelites, and we might not be like wandering in the desert, and God has maybe never rescued us out of slavery, but there's things that we continually just keep going back to, that we just keep choosing. And I think sometimes it's like we can't see just how good God is, where it's almost like God is that best friend who is the best option, reliable, good, safe. But we just keep looking to other things to be the answer, that we just keep chasing things. Or it's like we have a good stretch where we're in relationship with God and whatever, but then we just start to get distracted. We forget how good he really is, and we go back to other things. We start picking up other things, and we just turn to things where it's like, yeah, I'll never do that again. I'm not going back to that situationship. I'm not going back to whatever behavior this might be. Like, I'm not going back to it. But then slowly over time, we forget, or maybe we forget to trust that God can really fill that hole or that gap that we're searching for fulfillment in. We forget that God, we can trust him with those things. And we go back to patterns. We go back to things because we think they're going to be what makes us happy. In my own life, as I've been reading in this last month and just processing, like, God, what are things that I keep going back to? What are things that I feel like habits that I keep picking up where I'm searching for fulfillment in, and I really just need to find that fulfillment and happiness of you? And I actually felt like the area God put on my heart was just the gym and body image, and how I keep looking for that to make me satisfied and happy. It's like I've had this idea or maybe belief that, like, once I look like this, or once I can do 10 pull-ups, or honestly just 2 at this point, or like, then I'll be happy, then I'll be content with myself, then I'll be satisfied. And it felt like this thinking that God just kind of challenged me in and was like, you are searching for happiness and fulfillment in something that isn't me. And almost helped me recognize this is an idol that I've had in my life, too much of a good thing that I ended up letting take a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, a lot of just my thinking. And the Holy Spirit in that moment just convicted me, but in such a sweet way. It wasn't this like condescending, like, can't believe you've been thinking so much about the gym and spending all your time there and just obsessed with it. The Holy Spirit was like, hey, like, I miss you. Like, what if we spent that time together? What if instead, like, when you first woke up in the morning, it wasn't about like rushing off to the gym, but what if you and I just had some time together? The Holy Spirit's so sweet, and he loves you, and he's gentle with you. And those things that we go back to, and those things that we get distracted by, or that we end up getting caught up in, God is so patient. God isn't mad at you. God doesn't have a hand out towards you being like, nah, can't come to me until you sort that one out. God is open-armed. He's like, come to me. We're going to figure this out. I love you. I want to sort through this with you. He wants to heal you. So what is it that you love the most? And maybe where can you make an adjustment where you would choose Jesus instead of something else? That maybe the things that you've been choosing, they're garbage, that they're a dead end. They're not going to satisfy you. They're not going to lead to abundant life. And where can you make a decision that you're just going to choose Jesus, that you're going to run to him and allow him to be the Lord of your life, allow him to be your best friend, and allow him to be the thing that completely satisfies you? Last verse that I'll read here. This is Luke 10, Mary and Martha. And maybe you're familiar with this story, but essentially, there's 2 sisters. She had a sister, Martha welcomed Jesus into her home, and she had a sister named Mary. And Mary, she was sitting at the Lord's feet and was listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came up and asked Jesus, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her to give me a hand. But then the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you're worried and you're upset about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has made the right choice, and it will not be taken from her. Maybe what's coming between you and God right now, maybe you're just distracted. Maybe there's just something that you're choosing, that you're giving your attention towards, that is a good thing, but maybe it's not the best thing. Martha, she was in the presence of God. She was in the right place. She was in the house. She had welcomed Jesus actually into her house to listen to him, but then she got distracted. And sometimes we can be in the right place. We can be in youth group. We can be in church. We can be in a small group. But we can be preoccupied, and we can still have stuff going on in our hearts that is keeping us from the right thing, being with Jesus and listening to him. So in this moment, I just want to give you some space. We're just going to take like 30 seconds of silence. And what I want you just to think about is what's been distracting you, or maybe what's just been that thing that's been getting in the way of you choosing Jesus. What's been the thing that you've been going after? And in this moment, you don't need to feel ashamed by it. But I just encourage you, in your own words, just pray to God and give it to him. And just ask him, God, I'm sorry about this, and I want you. I choose you. I'm drawing near to you. And the Bible says that as we draw near to him, he draws near to us. So I'm just going to give you a couple seconds in prayer just to talk to God on your own.